At Oklahomans for Criminal Justice Reform, we bring clarity to how policy shapes real lives across Oklahoma. And this is Unintended Consequences. This podcast is about what happens after decisions are made. Not what is intended, but what actually happens in people's lives and communities. In a state with one of the highest incarceration rates in the country, those outcomes matter. We'll be talking with people who have lived experiences and with leaders and organizations working on the ground in the communities across Oklahoma. Each episode, we'll take a closer look at the patterns, what the data shows, and what it means, and how it connects to stability. Because when we understand the full impact of our decisions, we have an opportunity to build something stronger. I want to welcome you today to our podcast with Oklahomans for Criminal Justice Reform. Today we have the pleasure of being with Erin Engelke, and she is the Executive Director of ReMerge here in Oklahoma City, and they are doing amazing work. And let me just say thank you so much for being here with me. Now, I've heard about you in the streets of Oklahoma City, all the great work that you're doing. But for those people that don't know Erin Engelke, please let them know who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It truly is always a pleasure to be able to share more broadly the incredible work that's happening at ReMerge. I've had the pleasure of serving as their CEO for almost 2 years. But prior to that, I have served in leadership roles across the Oklahoma City community, most recently as CEO of Calm Waters, which is Central Oklahoma's grief center. But just have a long history of giving back to the community through nonprofit work, but also through volunteerism. That's extremely important to me. But a lot of people don't know that I am not a native Oklahoman. I was born in Florida. I am definitely a beach girl, if there ever was one. But then my family moved to a very small town in southern Idaho when I was in elementary school.
That is one side of the world to the absolute other.
I'm telling you. And so I grew up in like I said, a very small town, grew up like fishing and camping and hiking and very much an outdoors young girl. But I ended up moving to Oklahoma to attend college. And no, I did not attend OU or OSU. That's what most people think. I attended Oklahoma Christian University in Edmond. And quite frankly, did not have any intention of staying here. Like, no offense, but I really wanted to move back to the Northwest where there's mountains and, rivers, and it's beautiful.
We have those things in Oklahoma.
To an extent. But, sometimes the good Lord knows what we need long before we need it. And ultimately, planted just super solid roots here in Oklahoma City, and it has been just the most remarkable place to grow my family, to be deeply invested in the community, and to be able to see how much growth has occurred in this city. I mean, I moved here in 1996, and Oklahoma City looks radically different than it did back then. So in so many ways, I guess I am an Okie now because I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else. So just a fun fact
Well,
about
let me just tell you this, because I've heard of all the accolades that I've heard about you, those things that you mentioned, I think you just need to throw in the towel, because not only have you done all those great things right here in Oklahoma City area, across Oklahoma, but I hear that you were Miss Oklahoma.
I indeed was Mrs. Oklahoma, yes, in 2020 and 2021. And what an honor and a privilege to represent the state of Oklahoma. And I was able to do that on a national stage at the Mrs. America pageant, placed in the top 10, which was an incredible honor as well. So it's, pageantry, you learn a lot about yourself. It gives you an opportunity to be able to stand on a stage and represent the things that matter to you. And I was able to do that as Mrs. Oklahoma.
Well, I can tell you a couple of things. One thing I know is that you're cheering for the Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
And you represented us well at Mrs. America pageant, and we thank you for doing that. So I think that absolutely, and I've already talked to you a couple of times. I think you said y'all once or twice.
Oh yeah,
I think you're official.
Right? I think I must be.
I think you're official. Well, let me just tell you, first of all, you are leading one of the most exciting organizations here in Oklahoma City area to help women that are in need. And I'm not going to try to tell the story,
Sure.
but I am going to tell you, for those people hearing about ReMerge for the first time, what is ReMerge and why was it created?
Oh, yeah, to your point, ReMerge really is just an incredibly special organization. I really like to just straight out of the gate brag on the state of Oklahoma for creating ReMerge almost 16 years ago. At that time, Oklahoma ranked number 1 for incarcerating the most females in the world. That's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Completely unacceptable. And, at that time, there were a lot of other community leaders and legislators, quite frankly, who also thought that that was unacceptable. So with the support of Todd Lamb and Chris Steele at the time, who was in office, they created legislation that said we needed to identify diversion programming to keep as many women out of prison as possible.
Absolutely.
And to instead create a program that supports them in all the ways that they need, remove the barriers that led them to get to where they were in life. And so through that legislation and then the driven and vision of a number of community leaders who met for the better part of 6 months to develop the model that is now ReMerge, we now exist. And a couple things. One, our incarceration rate has gone from 1st to 4th.
Absolutely.
So we're very proud of that. We certainly believe that ReMerge had a tremendous hand in that. It's still not acceptable. We want to continue to move that needle even more, and we're doing that every single day. And then secondly, we are the only program of this kind in the United States. And again, I want to give a shout out to the state of Oklahoma for creating such a program that specifically serves high-risk, high-need mothers. These are women who have committed a felony offense, but oftentimes have never been given the tools and the resources to be able to overcome their addiction, their substance use disorder, and then the reasons why they are justice involved. Ultimately, our goal is to get them to a place of sobriety, completely heal that trauma that led them to where they are, and then ultimately reunite them with their beautiful children. And that's what we do. We are a diversion program, so we are the alternative to prison for every single mother in our program.
Well, let me just tell you, first of all, you're speaking OCJR's language, and we work to end in mass incarceration.
Yep.
This past legislative session, we had a piece of legislation that went to curb being the barrier of not being able to get into some of the diversion programs
Right.
because you had domestic violence
Right.
charged. In Oklahoma, you were banned for 10 years. That just recently passed and is not won't be a barrier
It's
anymore.
incredible.
It's
Great
probably
job.
one of the better pieces of legislation that's going to be heard. Not heard. It was heard and passed and signed by the governor. So we're really excited about that piece of legislation to knock down those barriers, to allow people, because most people don't realize that most domestic violence situations are the center of its alcohol, drug abuse.
Absolutely.
And so, anyway, let me tell you, you're speaking OCJR's language, and again, we're so happy to have you on our show today. And what problems were you seeing in Oklahoma that traditional incarceration wasn't solving?
Yeah, this is such a great question. I can say definitively that, addiction is not solved in prison. Every single mother that we serve comes to us with an addiction or substance use disorder of some form. And, they shared with me very early on stories of times where they have served either time in prison or time in jail. And that while they were there, they continued to use In fact, in some cases, in jails and prisons, there's more drugs than even on the streets. And, they just remarked that there was no healing for them. There was no programs that helped them overcome that addiction. And so all they knew was that they were going to go right back out on the streets and continue to use. So for sure, incarceration does not solve addiction. And a lot of the reasons why people become justice involved is because of an addiction. Also because of some form of trauma. Most of that has emerged over the course of their life, principally when they were children. Incarceration does not heal someone's adverse childhood experiences or whatever, trauma they experienced in their lives, even in adulthood.
Right. So, of course, ReMerge, earlier you talked about how Oklahoma was number one in the world in incarceration of women. So that is for one reason. One focus would be on women at ReMerge, but there's a lot of need. We also led incarceration of men.
Yes.
And why the focus on specifically women?
Yeah, well, and actually we specifically only serve mothers.
Oh, mothers, yes.
Yes. And I think that, there's so much research and there's just also just an understanding community-wide that mothers really are the hub of a family. They are the ones that create the influence and the change in our communities. And so when ReMerge was founded, that was the principal driving motivation was, what can we do to reunite children with their mothers? Because ultimately that's what's going to break those generational cycles of poverty, incarceration, and addiction. And I just think that was so astute of them to consider that. I don't disagree with you. We need programs for men like this also. Yeah. Every time I go out and speak about ReMerge, I hear, well, is there a program like that for men? And we don't have that, not yet anyway. And, I would love to see that come to be. But for right now, we are seeking to heal the community through a mother and her child.
And our friends at prisonpolicy.org, they said nearly 80% of incarcerated women are mothers. Is that true?
That's absolutely accurate. And I will also add to that for a mother who is in prison, her child is 60 to 70% more likely to also become incarcerated. That is where we need to break the cycles. We do not want these children to walk down the same path as their mother. Wouldn't we be a better community if we lifted up and honored and served that mother so that she could be all of who she needs to be for her child?
Absolutely. So, out of the women that you see, the mothers that you see, what patterns do you consistently see in the women coming into ReMerge?
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse, but indeed, there's just so much deep-rooted trauma that our moms come to ReMerge carrying, and a lot of that is because of those generational cycles that weren't broken. So they grew up in homes where their parent and or guardian were incarcerated and had addiction or substance use disorders. A lot of them kind of went down an unhealthy path because of a significant loss, and they just never were able to overcome their grief or didn't have the resources to do that. So that is a repeated pattern that we see on the regular. We all have a lot of feelings, right? And I think for the moms that we serve in particular, they haven't known how to manage those. And so they have found unhealthy coping skills, drugs, alcohol, prostitution, men, etc., to be able to almost cover up all of that junk that they've been carrying their whole lives. So certainly those pieces, but I will also say that a lot of them really struggle with how to have healthy relationships.
Right.
It wasn't modeled for them for the most part growing up. What does a healthy home, what does a healthy, co-parenting situation look like? How do I mother appropriately? And so, back to the domestic violence topic, 100% of our moms have experienced some form of domestic violence, and they really struggle to understand how to be whole within themselves without the dependence on a man. So even in our programs, it is not uncommon for them to continue to slip into those prior behaviors and patterns and habits of wanting to seek validation from a man instead of finding validation and peace within themselves.
Absolutely. I'm hoping, because you have drawn me into this conversation, but for those that may be watching, it's a really important question that I have for you. How do people find you? How do they get directed to you?
Great question. Yeah. So the mothers that come into our program are specifically referred through the district attorneys in the counties where we operate. So we currently serve 3 counties: Oklahoma County, Canadian County, and Cleveland County. So within those counties, we have the support of the district attorney, and the district attorney is the one that refers a mother into our program, which means that as she's entering the system, let's say gets picked up with, a drug possession, and she's got her children in the car with her, that's immediately 2 felonies. The DA at that point has the opportunity to assess the mom to determine, is she potentially a good fit for ReMerge, a diversion program, or am I going to send her to prison? For the moms that come into our program, they're typically looking at about 7 to 20 years of prison time if it weren't for ReMerge. And so I am so grateful for the support of the district attorney's office. We have a wonderful partnership with the public defender's office, and then a number of judges as well. It takes that level of support in order for ReMerge to happen. We wouldn't exist without the partnership of our court system.
Now, let me just tell you, and please forgive me for cutting you off, but it's rare to be bragging on our district attorney as much as our district attorney is bragged on, because she is doing the work, and I'm grateful for the work that she has put in. She's involved. She cares about not only she believes in accountability, but she understands the other part of it, making sure that the other options are available. And I'm grateful for her, and I'm glad to know, not shocked to know, that she's deeply engaged with her in ReMerge, but not only she's teaching a whole bunch of other lawyers, those other district attorneys, those associates that are working in her office, to be looking at other options too. And so I'm so grateful, because it's not always been like that in Oklahoma.
Right. And I would say, even in rural Oklahoma, that's not always the case. Yeah, so we are very, very fortunate to have such tremendous support.
And you've talked about it, but I'm going to just kind of stay on track. But how often does unresolved trauma show up before justice system involvement?
I mean, it shows up considerably in a multitude of ways. And it starts in so many ways, starts out very small. Right? It's not like somebody wakes up one day with all this childhood trauma and immediately commits a felony. That's not how it works.
Right.
It is built up over time. It's typically driven, again, with the need to just cover up all those feelings, to be able to they just want to push all that away. And so drugs and alcohol often are,
mental health?
Mental health is a huge component of that, absolutely. And, I think there's such a struggle for them to identify how to get help. Again, it hasn't been modeled for them.
Absolutely.
How do I seek mental health resources? Where do I go? How do I do that when I'm trying to raise children, but I'm feeling all these things that I just can't get over? So I'm going to hit the easy button, so to speak, and resort to a substance that will make me feel better, even though it's temporary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you work with the district attorney's office often. How important is it for the justice system to understand trauma when responding to people?
Oh my gosh, it's extremely important. Yes, we certainly are advocates for our law enforcement, for our first responders, anybody who is affiliated with the criminal legal system. They absolutely do need to have a trauma-informed approach. Of course, anybody who's providing services to individuals that have these kinds of struggles, very important. We are a trauma-informed workplace. A number of our staff actually have graduated from the program and now work for us. And so it is important that we continue to, again, model a healthy trauma-informed environment, but also to have the right language to be able to support and love on them.
Absolutely. So when somebody gets involved in the system, specifically is incarcerated, what happens to those children often?
Yeah, I mean, more often than not, they end up in the system, in DHS and foster care. For, I would say good majority of our moms, they do have open cases with DHS. Thankfully, through our programs and services, we're able to eventually close all of those cases and allow our moms to be reunited with their children. But then there's a number of instances where the child or children are in a guardianship situation where there's a family member who has taken over responsibility for the children while mom is healing, or quite honestly, even when they were in their addiction, their children were often not with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So what changes when mothers are able to stay connected with their children during recovery?
Oh, my word, it's literally one of the most motivating factors. So, if you were to come to ReMerge and talk to any of our moms, they would tell you that they continue to show up every single day to do the next right thing because all they desire is to be the most amazing mother to their children. That's what's driving them. That's what continues to keep them from going back to the bottle or to the pills or whatever it is. It is that once they're able to have clarity of mind and begin that healing journey of their trauma and their mental health, they're able to just hyper focus on, how do I be the best mom possible? I want to know who I am first, so that then take care of myself first,
Absolutely.
right? So that then when, my children come back home with me, I can be with them and be fully present. They say that all the time. Like, they recall times when they were so deep in their addiction that they couldn't even remember their kids' birthday parties.
Wow.
They couldn't fathom a time when they showed up at a parent-teacher conference. And it's those small moments that they hunger and yearn for, and that's what keeps them motivated in their recovery journey.
Right. So how does breaking one cycle of one mother potentially change the trajectory of multiple generations?
Oh, it's a tremendous ripple effect, because it's not just the one mother that you're changing. Of course, it's also the children, but it's even beyond that.
Right.
It's the mother's siblings, it's her parents, it's anybody who has been affiliated or has wrapped their arms around that mother for, in some cases, decades. Every single person in that sphere is dramatically changed. They're healed. If you've ever had someone in your life who has battled addiction, you understand how hard it is to rebuild that trust, and how sometimes you have to put a hand up and push away because it just hurts too much. But once a mom in particular through ReMerge is able to be completely healed and in recovery, all of those relationships that had been so disjointed and removed are healed. And it heals the whole family unit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just listening to about ReMerge is amazing. Something you said earlier is you have to be referred by the district attorney. Well, it's really bad when the district attorney is involved most times, and those women do get a chance to come to ReMerge are in a blessed situation.
Right.
I guess my question is, for somebody that might not have hit that justice wall yet, where do you recommend a person that might not be involved with the district attorney yet get the services that ReMerge offers?
Mm-hmm. Great question. And so a lot of people aren't even aware that there are what's called treatment courts. There is a drug court, we have a mental health court, we have a DUI court, and a veterans court within Oklahoma County. And that is often a really wonderful option for someone who may not be at the level in which to qualify for the ReMerge program. And quite simply, if someone's listening to this and is thinking, my gosh, I have someone in my life that I would like to receive those kinds of services, all you do is go to the district attorney's website, and there's actually a link on there where you can recommend someone be a part of either one of the treatment courts or even ReMerge for that matter.
Can you recommend yourself? Can a person recommend themselves?
Oh, or I'm sure you could.
Okay.
Yeah, just send an email.
Yeah, I think that is such an important question, because you know what? People don't choose to be addicted, have addiction issues. People don't choose to be on drugs. Most of them are just caught in a cycle that they can't get off, and most people don't want to be in domestic violence situations.
No, not at all.
And so this does give some hope to people that you can go on the district attorney's website and make that request. And so before this is over, hopefully I have that website for people. But I can tell you, it's oklahomacounty.org.
Right.
You can go on and find the link to the district attorney, Vicky Behenna's office, to get directed to that if you're looking for that option for you. So one thing, the ReMerge building's amazing.
Oh.
First and foremost, I've been there. Just the life in the building is people are glad to be there.
Yes.
I've had meetings there, and so it's just always been amazing to me. Why is employment such a critical part of successful recovery and reentry?
Yeah, it's absolutely critical for anybody who's coming out of recovery, but particularly for the moms that are set to graduate from our program, for us to ensure that they don't just have a job, but that they have a career. Because for the majority of the moms that are in our program right now, they've never had a job. Their jobs, more often than not, were trafficking drugs or possession of drugs, right? In some cases, prostitution. And they deserve better than that. They're worth more than that.
Absolutely.
And we know that if we don't create the space and partnerships with employers within the community, they're not going to be able to provide for their children once they've been reunited.
Right.
If they just have an hourly job, let's say, minimum wage, they're not going to be able to make it. And so what are they going to do? What are their options?
Right.
Well, they're going to go back to what they knew previously. And so employment is, honestly, it's the key indicator of success, long-term recovery and success for the moms. Because, I mean, the likelihood of them recidivating if they don't have stable employment and housing and transportation is extremely high.
So for our listeners, can you walk them through maybe the steps? I'm sure everybody's not equal.
Right.
Some people probably are 6 months or a year. Can you walk them through from the moment that they are referred, what it looks like
Sure.
to go through the process?
Yeah. So when we receive a referral from the district attorney's office, we then schedule a time to individually meet with that referral, that mother. That could mean that she is currently sitting in the Oklahoma County Detention Center, or it could mean that she's out on bond and is in the community. Either way, we find out where she is and we go to her. In that initial assessment, we walk through what to expect in the ReMerge program, what the accountability looks like, how rigorous of a program it is, basically what they'd be walking into. Once we have done that and we've assessed that she is indeed a great fit for our program, then we accept her. She then comes to court and pleads in to the program in front of the judge that's assigned to our docket. At that time, then, we transport her to ReMerge to begin her program with us. We are not a residential program. However, we have incredible partners across the community. We work with First Step, which is owned and operated by Oklahoma City Metro Alliance for the the moms that are early on in the program, and then we transition moms into sober living homes that also are located all around the city. We have a beautiful partnership with Embark, and so our moms are picked up from their housing and transported to ReMerge every single day, depending on where they are in the program. It typically takes a mom 17 to 24 months to complete all that's required of her. We have 5 phases to our program. And again, within each section of each phase, we have a whole lot of things that are required of them. They have to complete, in total, 40 evidence-based courses and classes. They have to regain all of their legal documents. They have to obtain their GED or their HiSET if they don't already have that. Have to get to a place where they have some form of employment to be able to begin the work to pay for some of their housing on their own later on in the program. So that ultimately we have completely set them up for success. We've taken care of all their needs at 100%, by the way, for probably the first year to year and a half, depending. And then we begin to set them up to start making, again, maybe it's a housing deposit. Maybe it's buying a car, so that but by the time they graduate from our program, they are fully independent and they're able to live successfully on their own.
Right. Living independently is really a bridge, a whole new world for them. Why is that financial stability connected to public safety?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, if a mother in particular who's caring for her children is not able to provide for them financially, she's going to find alternative options, many of which could potentially affect public safety.
Probably one of the most important words that I've probably heard in every podcast that we have had is the word dignity. And how important is dignity and confidence in helping someone move forward?
Oh, it's plays a powerful part. I certainly believe that every single person is here for a reason, and they deserve to be treated with the utmost dignity and respect, regardless of where they came from, what level of trauma they've experienced. And I can tell you with every fiber of my being that the mothers that we serve at ReMerge deserve that. They deserve every good thing in life. They just have never been given the opportunity to explore them. For the moms that we serve, if you were to even see them day one compared to, let's say, month 2 or the day of graduation, they actually even physically look like a different person. Because they finally have gotten to a place of healing. Amen. And they acknowledge all the time that ReMerge and our staff and everybody's affiliated with our program, we love them until they are able to love themselves. They come into the program completely unloved. They've told me countless times, it wasn't until I came to ReMerge that somebody finally believed in me. That's heartbreaking.
Right.
We're talking about women who are in their, for the most part, our moms are about 32 to 33 years old. They've lived that whole time and have never felt like they were worthy.
Not only have they felt like that they were not worthy as an adult, but they probably never. Have seen healthy relationships. Correct. In their life.
Right.
So,
right.
We spend, and when I say we, OCJR spends an unbelievable amount of time trying to convince, but more importantly, educate people about the word diversion.
Yeah.
We talk to legislators, we talk to individuals, we talk to district attorneys. Some people hear the word diversion and think that accountability disappears.
Right.
What does accountability look like at ReMerge?
Ooh, man, it's too bad we don't have a mom here to talk about.
We should have brought one. But next time we can, I promise you.
No, truly, let's do it, because you would be so blown away hearing directly from them, because every single one of them will say, This is not a get out of jail free card coming to ReMerge. They love us, but they hold us accountable for every single thing. And we do that because it's only going to help them, right? We're not a program that's meant to just put a Band-Aid on the problem. We're actually healing the problem. And it requires accountability, and a lot of it, especially for someone who has deep-rooted trauma and addiction, just challenges.
Absolutely. So what does ReMerge teach us about alternatives to incarceration?
Wow. That it works.
Absolutely.
That, diversion programming absolutely completely works. We have been in existence, as I mentioned, for 16 years. And in that time, we have graduated 431 women from this program who collectively have almost 600 children. Because of our work and the hard work of the moms that we serve, our recidivism rate is 3.6%. That is absolutely phenomenal. That is not the national average for recidivism. So it goes to show that if you provide enough support and resources and eliminate the barriers that have led someone to where they are, they're unstoppable.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're giving those fundraising speeches, all executive directors have to do those fundraising speeches, and we share our stories. Would you share a victory story with us? So you don't have to use the name, but would you share a victory story of somebody that's going through that program?
Yeah, absolutely. And she would not be saddened if I mentioned her name, so I will. But very early on, when I came to ReMerge as CEO, I met one of our participants, and her name is Joy. And when Joy came to us, she did not live into her name. She did not feel any joy, quite honestly. She had served 2 prison sentences prior to coming to ReMerge. So this had been like an ongoing challenge for her. She was highly addicted, had been separated from her children for a very long time, and could not overcome all that trauma that she'd experienced in her life. And she told me, Erin, the first day that I came to ReMerge, I kept looking for the front door because I wanted to run. I didn't know how to be in a safe environment. I just wanted to go back to where I was previously. And she said, but day after day after day of the staff continuing to show up and love on me, I began to just feel safer, more at peace with where I am. She said when she served those 2 prison sentences, she sat in that prison cell and thought, I'm just going to go right back out on the streets and do exactly what I was doing before. Locking me up in this prison cell is not accomplishing anything. And that struck me so deeply because I thought there's entirely too many people in our community that believe that incarceration solves the problems. It does not solve the problems.
Right.
And so in Joy's case, she successfully graduated from our program with, she's one of those instances where if you saw her the first day versus the day that she graduated, you wouldn't have recognized her. She's living a beautiful life filled with joy, and she works for us. She is now awesome. Serving as what we call a care navigator, which is essentially a case manager for the moms that we serve. And she walks into that building every day now beaming. She is living what she now knows is her life's purpose. And that is to pour into these mothers who were just like her 2 to 3 years ago, but who have so much potential.
We know that Oklahoma, it took us years to get to a place that became number 1 in the world in incarceration of women, number 1 in incarceration of men. But I'm asking Erin, what does a modern justice system look like from your perspective?
I think that we need to shift our societal thoughts around what it looks like to help and support someone who is justice involved. I think we have to stop being punitive. I think that there needs to be more considered when someone is justice involved. For instance, are they a mother? Have there been other resources that have been provided to them to help them heal and live a life of recovery? I think that there's so much more that we should be doing as a community. I think there continues to be a stigma that, you commit the crime, you do the time.
Absolutely.
And we have to do a better job as a state of shifting that mindset. Now, of course, we absolutely, in my opinion, jails and prisons are there to ensure public safety. I will tell you that the 82 mothers that are in our program right now are not a risk to public safety. They are not. They are just beautiful women who need a second chance.
Absolutely. So prevention is often less costly than incarceration.
Yes,
We've talked.
absolutely.
We know by far it's less expensive. But how important is prevention compared to responding after crisis occurs?
Mm-hmm. Give me an example.
How important is it for individuals like an 811 to be available for somebody to pick up the phone when crisis hits,
right,
rather than send the police officers out that may or may not be trained in that way, and you end up going to jail and creating a situation. I'm just curious, how important are those prevention systems?
Yeah, I do think they're extremely important, and even for the moms that graduate from our program, life is still lifing for them. And, they need to know that those resources are available. I think for individuals who are active in their addiction, it's hard for them to recognize that those resources exist. Right. And I think to me, that's a little bit of the struggle, is ensuring that individuals who are in crisis are able to have the headspace to be able to seek help. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So 100%, I believe that all of those resources are extremely important. But we also need to do more just as a community to identify and recognize individuals that we could be supporting. Sometimes it's about, no, all the time, it's about the people, places, and things that people are surrounded by.
Right.
And so, there's more that we could even be doing. If we see someone, we should help them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Earlier at the beginning of the podcast, you talked about we were number 1, and now we're number 4. Oklahoma has reduced incarceration in some areas, but still remains one of the highest nationally.
Right.
What has Oklahoma done well in recent years, and where does work still remain?
Yeah. Well, I would be remiss, obviously, to not suggest that, Oklahoma's done something really well by creating ReMerge. And I think, the more that the community invests in our diversion programming, the more mothers we can serve. I just, hands down, I do commend Central Oklahoma especially for creating this unique program. I think that I think even legislatively, there's so much more that we could do to create policies that are more supportive of mothers and their children. Diversion programming is a nice to have. It's not a requirement. And, I would argue that the state of Oklahoma needs to have diversion programming as a requirement for every court team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, many people entering the justice system are already carrying significant trauma and instability. What do policymakers need to understand about women in the justice system?
Yeah, that they are someone's mother, that they're someone's sister. I'm sure that policymakers they have people in their lives as well, and when they want their loved one, the woman in their life to receive absolutely every opportunity to succeed. I think you have to start there, and that kind of goes back to that dignity, like focusing on the dignity of the woman and the women in our state. but also understanding that women oftentimes are very vulnerable. We're vulnerable to, men, institutions, in so many ways, just communities. And we have a requirement as a state to do more to support women, but even above and beyond that, mothers.
So you all are only based in Oklahoma County, or you're based in Oklahoma County, but see Central Oklahoma mothers?
Yes, so we're based in Oklahoma County, originally founded to serve Oklahoma County, but because of some just generous support, we were able to expand last year into Canadian and Cleveland counties. It is certainly a desire for us, for me, for our board, to continue to expand. We would like to have partnerships with other district attorneys in other counties so that we can also serve the women from those more rural communities as well.
And are there any programs that would you like to expand the whole model, or could you expand bits and pieces of your model to other counties and communities? Because let me just say, a lot of these counties don't have the money to do it. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that there is a fund, 781 funding here in the state of Oklahoma, that was created in 2016 to allow these smaller counties to make investments in alternatives to incarceration. Instead of putting people in incarcerate people, they could create programs to help with alternatives. And so there are dollars available. It's not a whole bunch of money, but there are dollars available for these counties across Oklahoma to apply for. And what I cannot remember, but of course we have 77 counties, and less than half of the counties have applied for those dollars. But those dollars are available not only to a direct county, because it can be given to a program too.
That's exactly right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because we are a beneficiary of 781 funding, and we're extremely grateful for that. And I will say that, for the moms that come to us from Canadian and Cleveland counties, they are fully integrated into our program here in Oklahoma County. And so if we were able to expand into other counties, we would follow that same model, because what we provide at our campus is absolutely comprehensive. There's absolutely nothing that we're not providing the mothers in our program, and it would be hard to completely duplicate that in other communities. Not impossible, but if we can do more to transport them to us, we're going to aim to do that.
There's nothing more important than partnerships.
Absolutely.
It helps us sustain long-term for all of our organizations. How important are community partnerships in helping women long-term?
Yeah. Well, ReMerge was founded on a collective impact model. I mean, we exist principally because of the support of partners. We currently partner with over 90 organizations just to do this work and to wrap our arms fully around every single mother. It is extremely important. Not one organization can do everything. That's why we need each other. We need the private sector, the public sector. We need community members as well. It does need to be about collaboration.
Now, I know that everybody has a unique day and they go through their programming when they come to the ReMerge building. But you all do something pretty special there. And as a former Oklahoma City School Board member, we always got cookies from ReMerge, and they are the absolute best cookies.
They are.
But not only can I get, that wasn't special to Oklahoma City. Anybody can call you all and get cookies delivered to their place of business or to loved ones, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about the cookies.
Yeah, so Catalyst Cookies is our social enterprise program that operates on our campus. We have a big, beautiful kitchen that converts into a commercial kitchen, and our moms who are in phase 2 of the program are employed.
It smells great.
It smells so good.
I don't know how you keep yourself, because I'd have to dip in there.
Every once in a while, the moms like to bebop down the hallway and bring me the ones that didn't quite might turn out, and I'm not sad about it. But yes, the community can purchase the cookies. Every single cookie is handmade by one of our moms. They earn $12 an hour. They gain their food handling license. And best of all, they learn about what it means to have a job. For a lot of them, it is their very first job. And so they get to learn those fundamental job skills safely with us before we, place them out in the community into other job placements. But Catalyst Cookies is a wonderful program. And, again, the next time when you bring a mom on, I'll make sure that she's been through Catalyst Cookies, because every single mom tells the story of how life-changing Catalyst Cookies was for them. One of the best elements of the program.
Well, let me just say this. I was hoping that you had one in your purse that you could have just dropped off to me, because those macadamia nut cookies and oatmeal cookies are absolutely
See, I like the salted caramel chocolate chip ones.
Yeah.
The best.
It's all, they're all delicious, but those two right there, those I cannot stop eating them. So, but next time, put one in your purse. But what gives you hope when you look at the women and families coming through ReMerge?
Oh my gosh, I just have hope for the future. Hope for the future of the state of Oklahoma. Hope for the future for their little kiddos. I'm able to see each and every one of those moms just beaming, thriving. And I know that those children are going to just continue to succeed and thrive as well. And it just gives me hope for even my own children to know that they're going to be, raising their own families in a safe community because of ReMerge, because the mothers that we have served have been reunited with their own children and are now integrated into the community and not sitting in a prison cell.
Amen. So what do you hope that people take away from our conversation today about ReMerge and not only ReMerge, but just alternatives to incarceration and diversion?
Yeah, I hope that people who are listening may have had a little bit of a mind shift when it comes to mindset shift when it comes to incarceration, and individuals that struggle with addiction and trauma, that there are better ways. There's better ways to serve them. And it's my hope that they will want to learn even more about ReMerge, that they'll want to come for a tour, to be able to meet some of our moms. We host something every single Thursday called CLAPS, and it stands for Celebrating Life's Accomplishments, Progresses, and Successes. And it is by far one of the most life-changing things you'll ever be a part of. It's every Thursday without fail from 9:15 to 10. You don't even have to call in advance. You can just show up. It's open to the public. But the point behind it is we want to celebrate the little and the big wins for every single mother in our program. There's so much research and science behind the more positive words of affirmation and celebrations that you can pour into someone, particularly someone who has trauma and addiction, the greater the likelihood that they will succeed. So that's a little bit opposite from what, I feel like society has said is just punish them. But we say, let's celebrate them. Obviously, hold them accountable, but let's celebrate the little and the big wins, and that's everything. So if you're there, it's like a full-on party. There's music going, we're hooping and hollering for every single mom, for every little thing that they have accomplished within the last week. Sometimes that means they got their driver's license. Sometimes that means they got a new job. Sometimes it means that their DHS case was closed. I mean, I invite anybody who's listening to come to CLAPS on a Thursday morning. Your life will be changed.
One of the things that, and I was trying not to ask any more questions, and I'm not really asking any more questions, really a statement, is that people do not understand how big those little accomplishments. People do not understand the obstacle of getting a driver's license back after you've been in the system.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, thank you for what you do. I appreciate you, just the fire and just the vigor that you bring to the conversation, but just the hope that you bring to those women. And I know you don't do it alone. You have a great staff.
I absolutely do. Amazing staff.
I have no doubt in my mind that you will get, if not calls locally, nationally after this podcast, of wanting to see how to learn more about ReMerge, how to maybe even get some cookies.
Please.
How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, first of all, visit our website, remergeok.org. Really, you can learn so much about our program. You follow us on social media. That's just a tremendous way to stay in touch with, the success stories, but also ways to get connected and volunteer. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
All right, you're on all those social media platforms. I thank you, but I know that the state supports you, but you do fundraising, correct?
We absolutely do.
Okay, and it's so important. I just, if somebody wanted to give to ReMerge, just feel free to just make sure that they can go on the website.
Absolutely, you can donate on our website. And, we certainly welcome an opportunity to even visit in person and find other ways that they can support us financially and through an investment of their time.
I just want to thank you so much for being here. And I'm Mike Shelton with Unintended Consequences, which is hosted by OCJR. And what I want to make sure, OCJR is Oklahomans for Criminal Justice Reform, and we're just grateful to have partners like ReMerge and Erin Engelke.
You got it.
All right.
Well done.
I appreciate you being here. And if you want to support or find out more about what's going on with Oklahomans for Criminal Justice Reform, you can go to okjusticereform.org. If you want to make a donation, you can go to okjusticereform.org. Thank you.